Hello, my Teaserking family. Sorry about that. How's everybody today? Happy Friday. Happy weekend. So, where do we start? Have a little dinner. I guess we can start in basketball. So if we go back to actually we got to go back to what was the NBA? I think it was yesterday. So we got Denver. All right, Denver wins by 11, and I think they were laying 9 or 10. Let me look. I think they just covered. I hate when you watch it, when you look at the game as it's going because the odds change. So let's go. So the Nuggets were laying 9. They win by 11. Okay. So we don't like, let's see, we got game 2 is Sunday. Denver 8.5, 214. Do we trust Miami in a must-win? Well, they're not really must-win because they can go down 2-0, then the must-win would be game 3. We wanted Miami to win game 1, then we would have bet big on Denver game 2. So that's kind of not in there. So that kind of leaves us with, again, kind of watching unless you have a feel on a play. We want to bet, Denver at home to go up 2-0. Maybe a small play there. And then if Denver wins both the first 2, then Miami is definitely the play, and they'll probably be a dog in game 3. So that's the NBA. Let's look at the MLB. Let's go to baseball tonight. So we got bottom of the 3rd, Milwaukee 2, Cincinnati 1. In Cincinnati, they play early games for some reason. Can't bet that. It's already been played. Oakland, Miami. 1974 AFC champion, AFC playoff game. Oakland got the W there. This game's in Miami. Fujinama for Oakland, 2-5 with the 12 ERA. Now we know why Oakland's only won 12 games. And Cabrera for Miami, 3-4 with the 5.02. Over under 8.5. This has to be an over. Although Oakland probably doesn't hit a lot because the over under is only 8.5. But you got a guy with 12 and a guy with 5. I would think you're going to get at least 10 runs in the game. You got 8.5. So go over Oakland, Miami, and that is in 40 minutes. Philly and West. I don't like these early. Now these games are starting at 7 o'clock, and then they're all finishing at 9 because they're in a hurry to show the game. It's not how good our product is. It's how fast we can show it to you. I don't get it. So Philly and Washington, 7:05. Zach Wheeler, 4-4 to 3.60 against Josh Gray, 4-5 with a 2.77. So this is too good pitching. And here the over-under is 9. I mean, it doesn't make sense. based on the pitchers, this should be a low-scoring game, and the other one, based on the pitchers, should be high-scoring. And yet the over-unders, first one's 8.5, and the second one's 9. Philly, Washington. I mean, this hard to say. This is probably an under with Gray and Wheeler, two good pitchers, at least two good ERAs. So I would go under. I noticed the Mets won with Scherzer. So if you see Scherzer, you bet him. If he's facing another strong pitcher, bet it under. But Scherzer got the W yesterday. So that means Verlander's probably going today. St. Louis and Pitt. Flaherty for St. Louis. 3-4 with the 4.81 against Contreras for Pittsburgh. 3-4 with the 4.33. It's probably an over. You got two pitchers in the mid-4 ERAs, over under 9.5. I think this is probably an over. See, I can't really play either pitcher who's 3-4 with a 4.5 ERA. I'm not going to bet any money on that pitcher. However, he sucks, so we will bet over on it. Tampa Bay and Boston. We got Glasnow for Tampa. 0-0 with a 6.23 ERA, or for Tampa. Boston, Whitlock, 2-2 with a 5.14. I got to go over at Fenway. Two weak pitchers. Yeah, let's go over this one. A lot of over-unders today. Well, a lot of pitchers, I have no idea. Now we come to Bobby's Mets. The Blue Jays and the Mets, and as I said, Verlander's going 2-2 with a 4.80 against Bassett, 5-4 with a 3.80. We're going to have to go under in this game, 8.5. Verlander's coming back off the injury. Now he's 2-2. ERA is a little high to bet him, and then Bassett's got a 3.80, and it's in New York. Bobby's not playing, as far as I know. Bobby, you're not still playing on the Mets, so I think it's an under with Verlander, only because Bassett's a 3.80, but Verlander's 4.80, isn't real. It's probably more like a 2 once he gets going. Seattle, so take that game under, Toronto and the Mets. Seattle and Texas. We got Castillo, 4-2 with a 2.69 for Seattle. Texas, John Gray, 5-1 with a 2.81. Texas has been hot. I'm going to have to take this game under. You got a 2.81 and a 2.69 going at it. Over under of 8. Another under. The Tigers and the White Sox. We got Reese Olson, 0-0 with an 0.00 ERA. So I've never heard of him. Against Clevenger, 3-3 with the 4.56. I mean, I who knows? Probably the White Sox. They're kind of weak, but so's Detroit. It's funny, Detroit. You hear them here, and they're close to first place, and they're near 500. They suck. I mean, this is like football when you got that division where nobody, the winner has 7 wins. And you're like, oh, he won. Yeah, but as soon as they play a good team, they get crushed. So, I don't know. I like Chicago here. Clevenger is pretty good. And who's Reese Olson? Never heard of him. Colorado, KC, Colorado. Chase Anderson, 0-0 with a 1.31 against Jordan Lyles, 0-9. There's our pitcher, Bobby, 0-9 with a 7.30. We got to go with Colorado. How can you not? How can Jordan Lyles 0-9? He was 0-7, and we bet against him, so we won that. 0-9 with a 7.30. So again, what is this guy doing in the major league? So we're going to take the professional in Colorado over the guy who shouldn't even be in the major leagues for Kansas City. So take Colorado. Cleveland and Minnesota, we got Chevalier for Cleveland, 1-1 with a 2.84 ERA. Against Bailey Ober, 3-2 with a 2.68 ERA. I don't know enough about Chevalier. Good ERA, but 1-1. And again, you get kind of caught in the record because I don't know that they get as many wins and losses as they used to get. The guy pitches 5-6 innings, and then they tie it up, and the reliever gets the win and gets the save. So I don't know. This looks like a good under, though, Cleveland Mini. with the two pitchers under a 3 ERA. The Angels and the Houstons. Shohei Ohtani, 5-1 with a 2.91 against Valdez, 5-4 with a 2.38. Love the under here. Over under is 7.5, but you got two pitchers under 3. Take the game under. And Jesus, we got a whole way. We're like halfway done. The Cubbies and the Padres. Italian 0-3 with an 8.04 ERA against Wacha. Michael Wacha. He was on St. Louis a while. With the 3.45. Let's go with the Wacha. Take San Diego. Good pitcher. Italian 0-3 with an 8.04. Can't bet on him. Atlanta, Arizona. Charlie Morton for Atlanta, 5-5 with a 3.59 ERA against Merrill Kelly, 6-3 with a 2.83 ERA. Another pretty good. Should be another low-scoring game, I would think. Kelly's a little bit better, 6-3 with a 2.83. Morton's a good pitcher, though, so I would say under based on the ERAs. Again, these are just tiny little bets. Not even bets, just I'm actually just getting the feel of what's going on. The Yankees at the Dodgers. Is this the Brooklyn Dodgers? Is Luke is whatchamacallit there? What's his name? I was watching the Munsters, and Herman tried out for the Dodgers, and Leo DeRocher comes to the house. I loved it. Yankees, Cervino, 0-0 with a 1.59. Kershaw, 6-4 with a 3.32. Ooh, let's go under. I love Kershaw's games never go under. Cervino with a 1.59. I don't know. It could be just an over ballpark. Over under's 8. Yeah. Either way, we'll go under with Cervino. Let's see what he does. And last but not least, Baltimore, San Francisco, the 49ers. Baltimore, look at them, 30-21. Jesus. Dean Kramer, 5-2 with a 4.58 ERA, and Logan Webb, 4-5 with a 2.75 ERA. There's a lot of under 3 ERAs I'm seeing tonight. And we're already 2 months into these guys have played 58, 57 games, so the ERAs by now are pretty good. So Yankees and the Dodgers, or Baltimore, Frisco. Well, Kramer wins. Little high ERA. Webb, 4-5 with a 2.75. Excuse me. I don't know what to tell you here. Baltimore is probably a live dog, but I don't want to bet against a guy with a 2.75 ERA, so I wouldn't play this one. Anyway, a ton of under bets today. Verlander. It's good to see Verlander and Scherzer back. The Mets are going to be mighty tough because you get into a series and you got Verlander and Scherzer going. Who the fuck do you got on your side that can match them? And, and if I would just pitch them every other day. That's it. I'd use my 2 pitchers. Look at the Tigers in the 68 World Series. Lolich pitched 3 games. McClain pitched 3 games. Merrill Wilson pitched 1. That was it. You had 3 pitchers. You really had 2, but okay, let's say 3. And that was it. I mean, that's what you got. So you it's 5 The problem with 5 pitchers is they're not 5 good enough there's not 5 professional pitchers. That's your first problem. Your second problem, like the Tigers, their guys are injured. So now not only are you asking for 2 or 3 professional pitchers, but now they're injured. So now you're asking for another 2 or 3 professionals. So you got 10 or 12 pitchers that you're looking to use, but there's only 2, maybe 3 that are professionals. And this is why most teams suck and most games are terrible. So, no lock today. We'll run down it again. We got, let's write this down. So this is what, 6-2. So we got Oakland over. And I better put the runs, 8.5. We got Philly under. And that's 9. We got Pitt over. And that's 9.5. We got Boston over. That's 9.5. That's at Fenway. We got the Mets under. And it's under 8.5 with our pal Verlander. We got Texas under. That's 8. We got Colorado. That's about as close as a lock as we got. Colorado plus whatever it is. Colorado's and they got Kansas City. So let me get this right. Kansas City with the pitchers 0-9 with a 7.30 ERA is favored in this game. You got to be fucking kidding me. Colorado plus 150 or whatever it is. That's where they fuck you on the money line because the money. Why aren't I just laying 3 points like football? Well, why isn't the money line minus 110 plus, plus 110 or whatever? Houston under. Houston's under 7.5. And we've got SD. We've got Arizona under. Good God. Look at all these under 3 ERAs. Unbelievable. Under 9. We got the Yanks under. That's under 8. And we've got, and we'll stick away. Maybe we'll take SF. I don't know. I'll think about that one. So of these games, I've got 3 overs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 unders. And I'm telling you, there's 10 pitchers with under 3.0. And really, Verlander, is under 3.0. Probably started slow, even if you go 7 innings and shuts them out, takes a while for the ERA to come down. So let's go to the NBA. Let's break it down a little bit. So if we break down the NBA, so Denver had a big lead, 29-20, then 30-22 in the second half. So they're up 59-42. So the game's over at half. It's kind of what you see a lot in game 1. Then they relax in the third quarter and lose by 10 in the fourth. So if we let's look at the team, at the players. We got, who the fuck's the points? swallowed a little tiny piece of hamburger. All right, Butler gets 13 points. We're looking at Miami first. And he plays 38 minutes. Martin, 3 points, the other forward. Adebayo plays 40 minutes, gets 26 points. Vincent, the guard, gets 19. The other guard gets 0. What's this guy doing on the team? Excuse me. Anyway, so your best player, Butler, I guess, gets 13, and the center 26, and the guard 19. 2 guys on the bench. Lowry gets 11, and Highsmith gets 18. So you got 5 guys scoring. Not too much, though. Denver. Porter gets 14. He's the forward. Gordon, so he plays 43 minutes, gets 14. Gordon plays 36 minutes, gets 16. Excuse me. I got that little bit of hamburger stuck in my hate when this happens. All right. I think I'm okay. Oh, man. All right, let's go back. Sorry about that. That's what I hate about this stuff. You hit the wrong button and it blows you up. That it's like I couldn't even hit the back button, right? It was just, you're blown up. All right, Denver. So I'm surprised Porter played 43 minutes if they're up 59-42 at halftime. Gordon gets 16. Hey, Bobby. Well, we're doing NBA now. You just missed baseball. You're not playing for the Mets now, are you, Bobby? You've done? All right, because Verlander's pitching tonight. I thought maybe you're going to play. Well, there's not a lot in baskets. It's only one game. Thank you, Bobby. So Jokic he plays 40 minutes, 27 points. Murray, a guard, gets 26 points. What I don't understand is they played so many minutes with such a big lead, 59-44. Going into the fourth, it was another 5. So they're up 17. They're up 22 points going into the fourth quarter. What the hell are these guys playing 44 and 43 minutes for? All of them played a lot. Jokic, 27, Murray, 26. So they got 27, 26, 16, and a 14. And they got no bench. They got Bobby Brown at 10 and Jay Green at 4. So they're just their starters. So they got 5 guys. That's going to affect them as the series gets on, because it looks like Miami's got 5, 6, 7. They got 8 players basically that are playing 20 minutes or so. What the fuck? So anyway, I don't know. So picking game 2, I would just probably stick with Denver. Thank you, Bobby. Oh my God. Scherzer pitched yesterday. Verlander's pitching today. Don't you know your Mets roster? Oh my God. We're taking the under in the Verlander game today. Imagine Verlander was there when I was. All they had was Brett Saberhagen. Yeah. Yeah, Verlander would have been there. And Scherzer. Yeah, Nuggets Heat game 2 is Sunday. Jesus. So they're going to play Thursday, Sunday, and then probably, I think, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. I don't get it. They always have such big gaps in the. Well, I don't know why. You're going to get people tuning into 7 games. But now you're going into June when people are going, fuck it, I'll go on the golf course, I'll go on my boat, I'll go walk the lake. I ain't sitting home to watch this shit, right? Denver and Miami. Well, I think it should have been Friday and then Sunday. I mean, it should be tonight and then Sunday and then Wednesday and then Friday, Sunday type of thing. You got to use the weekend and that. Like, nobody's going to sit home on a Tuesday night and watch this shit. I didn't turn it on at all. All right. So basically, I don't really have a say in it. I gave you the baseball, no locks, but a lot of unders. I'll recap that after. The gold and silver, as we laugh as it goes down, another buying opportunity. And the funny part is nobody's selling it. It's all paper. That's what I try to hammer home. It's down to 1948. So I might go tomorrow and buy some more since they're putting it on sale already. It's on sale just because it's only $2,000 an ounce. So it's pretty funny how it's on sale. So I watched Andrew McGuire this morning. A few tips, and then Alistair. Now, this is Alistair's blog on goldmoney.com. And there's a few interesting points he has, which he talked about on his TV. And I'll just go through. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to go through a few points that we both understand. Kevin Durant's a choke, and LeBron's, we've seen him enough. It's like Tiger Woods. Yeah, okay, enough. We've seen him. Let's move on. And there's nobody there. What coins your guy got out there? Just Buffaloes or has different? I have no idea. I went last Friday, so I'd have to go, but I don't go every day. I'm not really interested to buy. I want to buy a few more ounces of gold. I got so much. I'm up to 552 ounces of silver. It's like, okay, let's buy some more gold. I think it's more prudent. Now that you mention it, laugh my ass off. Go grab some of my coins now and look at it. There you go, Bobby. Yeah, I had my silver out today, just counting them because I got them in the whites. So some of the whites I didn't have 20s in. It takes 20 in the whites, but some of them were short, so I recounted, and now they're all 20. I got one with 5, which is what I bought last week. So what's going on with Tom Brady? Is he playing? Is he owning? Can he not own? Why can't he own and play? What's wrong with that? Who cares? The guy can make the team. He can afford it. Then he should be out there. So Alistair McLeod writes for Gold Money, and he does a little thing on Thursday. So I'm reading it, which is exactly like what he did a little video that I watched the other day, and he says the same thing, and then he writes it in here, it looks like. The They said that he entertained that he's not going to play. I think he wants to play, especially Garoppolo's. I think might not be able to play. I think he's out. So they need a quarterback. It's Oakland. They're pretty. I don't think they can get Stabler back in there. All right, quick thing on this. Now he's talking more UK government. He says UK government's policies are fully aligned with global group thinking among its peers. Politicians seek solace that their policies are right because none of them know what they're talking about through the G7 or G20 or the IMF or the OECD. And the B counting establishment in the Treasury sees the private sector simply as a source of tax revenue rather than as a driver of economic process. So they're doing too much Keynesians. There was little or no understanding of the true value of laissez-faire economics, with the Treasury's Mandarin stubbornly Keynesian in their beliefs. And this is what I try to teach is the Keynesians aren't doing the job. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, basically, right? There was something here on Say's Law I wanted to read. Here. The belief in official circles expressed by the Chancellor Chancellor of England, that a recession will reduce inflation and therefore should be welcome, will turn out to be an error with significant consequences. So they want a recession to lower inflation. This is how stupid they are. Will turn out an error with production and consumption will tend to decline in tandem as demonstrated by Say's Law. As I've taught you about it, supply creates demand. And therefore, CPI inflation will not reduce due to declining consumption, as the Chandler stated. For empirical evidence, we need he gets into that, So what's happening is they think if they slow the economy, less people will have money, more people won't work, they'll have less money, and therefore they'll buy less goods, and that will lower the price. And that will stop inflation because they think inflation is, of course, the prices. So they're sitting there not understanding, so they've got it wrong. This is like deflation, right? Well, if inflation raises prices, we want deflation to lower prices. And if inflation raises the money supply and devalues it, which raises prices, then the other way, if we have deflation, it'll lower prices and it'll make the dollar worth more. So they're trying to think that if I have a recession, I slow the economy, that'll slow the inflation because the prices will drop. These are the morons running the countries, all the countries. And the only ones that surprisingly get it are the Russians and Chinese. They get it. You're killing the dollar. There's no way out of it. You don't increase the value of the dollar. It's all based on you printed too much, you've lost the value. That's it. There's no, oh wait, if we have a depression, the value of the dollar will go up? No, it won't. Will your costs go down? Sure, the cost will go down. I think a lot of people will go out of business because nobody will be able to buy their goods, but I don't know that you lower prices. You would lower prices for Oreos if you're not selling them, but that has nothing to do with the value of the currency. If you have less people working and able to buy, then you just got to lower your price because you're not making the sales. But it doesn't fucking matter. It's not. They're convoluted on inflation. This is my dog. On inflation in prices, and their inflation's over here, prices are over here. You're devaluing the dollar and you print it and it's over. What happens to the prices is based on us. It's based on the market. Laissez-faire economics. Bobby Bow. They said that he reiterated that he's not going to play. Okay. I'm here with my Philharmonic coin in hand. Is it me or are these coins thicker than others? They could be. I am noticing different thickness, but it doesn't really matter. I assume you still just have silver. You don't have gold yet, Bobby? Wait till you get gold. You'll just, if you like your silver now, wait till you get your gold. Then you'll be you'll just sit and look at the gold. Like in The Hobbit, they get the dragon gold or whatever. Dragon fever. So, it's the same thing. So what you need to do, the reason you buy gold is an asset. You just got to have tunnel vision here and take out all the noise of these idiots. And this is why I tell you not to listen to most of them. They're fucking clueless. So we have this losing value. Losing. There's nothing that can gain the value. It's gone. It's going to zero. The only out is if they back it by gold, which wouldn't matter because we own gold and silver. So if they back this by gold to get the value up, our gold and silver will go way up because then there's more demand for it and they need the price to go up so they can make dollars. So at worst case, if these guys start going to gold-backed currencies, I think what they're realizing the world is we're all fucked and it's all fiat and it needs to go to, you got to back your dollars. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a football expression, but I can't. But it's like some guy saying he's good, but then you put him on the field, and it's like Richardson. He sucks, but we'll see him on the field, and they're trying to say he's good. And so you can say the dollar's good, but at the end of the day, it's losing value tremendously. And by the way, Alistair thinks this is all going to happen very, very soon. But it's basically people waking up, realizing this is worthless. And then they scramble. 2 years ago, when Biden takes office and prints $10 trillion, I know that's inflation. I know it's got to hurt the value. You can't print $10 trillion and not hurt the value of this. Therefore, I start thinking, what do I do? Because that's what I am, INFJ. I'm going to see something and think about the solution. I do it with football. I just did it with baseball, basketball. I can look at it and then kind of figure it out. And so, like picking Miami over Boston, Game 7, right? I figured that out. So here you've got Richardson is definitely not NFL ready. He wasn't college ready, Bobby. It's mind-boggling that these GMs are this clueless. I can't answer that, how stupid they are. They're all like Peter Schiff's and Rick Rules and all those idiots. It's the same thing. The dollar you're holding is Richardson in the NFL. No, he doesn't. He wouldn't even get on here. This is maybe CJ Stroud or something. But yes, if Mahomes and Rodgers are the whole dollar, right? Here's Mahomes, here's Rodgers. They're the whole dollar. Then CJ Stroud and half of these guys are this much left of it. But so the point is, Mahomes, okay, we'll give you that. So you have to get out of this. Now, coming back to economics, what do I teach you? If the steak's too expensive, you buy another steak, or you buy ribs, or you buy chicken, or you buy salmon. You substitute with competition for the other goods. That's what you do. And how do you substitute this? what's the competition? A bunch of other bullshit currencies, which is why I thought, should I get the euro? I can go to Switzerland and get the Swiss francs, the British pounds. And I said, no, they're all the same. They're all fiat. They're all going to zero. So I don't want to be in any of them. So therefore, it was, I got to buy an asset. Well, I had noted there's no way. I told you about buying the house was never going to happen until it crashed, which is coming. And stocks, they're all manipulated by Madoff, so I don't want any of that. Which left me with the mantle cards, which I already have, gold and silver, and or Bitcoin or Rolex. Well, Rolex are nice assets, but I'm not going to buy them in lieu of dollars. And mantle cards I have, so it left me. Bitcoin's not real. It's not money. It's not anything. We're gold and silver. If the dollar goes out, what is Bitcoin's value? Nothing. If the dollar goes out, what's gold's value? It goes through the roof. So we know the dollar's going out. So it's like chess. We're going to move here, and then we're going to move here. And that's really what the key is. What are you talking about? Burrow is the silver. Richard is the half dollar. Richard. And Mac Jokes is the penny underneath your desk. I like Mac Jokes better. Who's Richard? Richard Todd? I don't know who Richard is. If Burrow's the silver, where's Aaron Rodgers? Is that what you're Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. Richardson. He's the dollar. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but you call them Richard. Okay. Anyway, so you have to get out of the dollar, as I said. So it left you with gold and silver as the only options. And then we go into why. Rogers is the silver bar. Okay. So what I just read is that the whole world. Oh, here's a good one. All right. So here's why I want to get us out of here. So I'm going to read this. Why CPI? Now I'm not going to read the whole thing, and I'll read it quickly. Why CPI inflation continues to rise in a recession or slump. No, this is his blog or what he writes. This is his column on gold money. I'll show you the Andrew one, but I think he had one that I wanted to show you anyway. Yeah, there was a couple things. So it's commonly believed by economists that today a recession is a slump in demand. Really, it's just the economy going down. It's slowing. It's either going up or down. It's going down. I don't know what the name means, but whatever. And a developing glut of unsold production leads to falling prices. And falling prices discourage customers even further from spending by deferring their purchases. Why would falling prices would not discourage consumers? It would. You would run and buy it, right? Like we do with gold, right? It goes down, we go buy more of it. If Orioles are cheap or steaks are on sale for $3, we'd be filling our freezer with it. Falling prices do not discourage consumers. They also fear that a recession could easily develop into a catastrophic loss of consumer confidence. This led the neo-Keynesians, I don't know, I guess pro-Keynesians, to believe in a savings paradox, that saying saving as opposed to consuming, which bolsters GDP, is deemed undesirable. So they don't want us to save, they want us to consume because they think it'll grow the economy if we all spend, but they miss the whole point of us saving, like we're saving gold and silver. That could be another reason they don't want us in gold and silver, because basically we're not spending it. I got 500 ounces of silver. I ain't spending it, not at this price, and I got my gold. So I am, in a sense, saving my money by keeping it. So it has therefore become a function for the state to stimulate and maintain consumption under these circumstances. So that's the government with deficit spending, so they keep spending. So they spend the economy. They think it's better if they keep printing money and stimulate the economy. It's better for the economy. These wrong-headed and ultimately destructive economic beliefs stem from Keynes' dismal dismissal of Say's law. Say's law is supply creates demand. We want blue shirts, somebody makes it. We want ribs, somebody makes it. That's economics. That's Adam Smith. That's exactly what's made us very successful in America and England and the world. Dismissal of Say's law, which simply explains the hard facts behind the division of labor. Adam Smith. John Baptiste Say, so there actually is a guy named Say, that's why it's his law, understood that we produce in order to consume. So we work so we can buy food and we can pay our rent and buy our clothes and go to the ball games and everything like that. That's why we produce. That's why we work. And money or credit is the means by which we turn our specialized production into our wider consumption. Exactly. Keynes' dismissal of Say's law on the basis that if it were true, there would be no barrier to full employment was just a red herring and linguistic deception, like his dismissal of Gibson's paradox. That one I don't know. It has led to fundamental errors in public interest rate policies. It became necessary to replace facts with fantasy for the entire house of cards of Keynesian macroeconomics to be constructed. And the UK Treasury and the Bank of England base all their policies on little more than this fairy tale. Now, these are Alistair's words, but you've heard me say them over and over that Keynesian doesn't work. It's been proven it doesn't work. It can't work because it's market planning by the government, not letting the individuals. Bobby wants pig ears. Somebody makes them. He buys them. He eats them. I want ribs. Somebody makes them. I eat them. That's how the economy should work. Not the government saying you're going to do this and you're going to do that, and then hope we're going to make electric cars and then hope somebody wants one, which they don't. The relevance of Say's description of the division of labor, an incontestable fact, is that conditions which lead to higher unemployment, which are always at the back of policymakers' minds with respect to an economic slump. So they're more worried about employment than anything. Lead to both declining production and consumption. So they're going to produce less and they're going to consume less. This is because the unemployed are no longer producing. In a broad sense, this is obviously true. And even though some goods and services will be less affected than others, the point is that a general glut, which is the danger feared by policymakers, simply can't happen. Ricky Bell, are you the one that played for USC? This the Ricky Bell from USC, the running back. So this is Alistair again, Say's law. And I read you the other part of it. It's really, that's what the U.S. is founded on, is Austrian economics, which is Say's law, which is we have the freedom to choose what we want, and then somebody should make what we want. If Bobby wants golf clubs, somebody needs to make golf clubs. If he wants a pumpkin pie, somebody needs to make a pumpkin pie. I mean, it's all. My omelet with a hamburger in it. So tasty. So that's the problem, is all these Keynesians are running everything. And they don't believe in Say's law, which is fundamental for an economy. You have to know what people want, and that's what you make. You cannot make electric cars if there's no demand for it. You can't bullshit people into believing the economy's bad. It doesn't work. Or the climate. Oh my God, we're global warming or global colding, or it's just we're on a planet. We can't control it. So, that's what's happening. Yeah, I was eating my omelet with hamburger. How do I make the omelet? Well, I've made the hamburgers, so I break up like a hamburger or two. Put in broccoli, yellow and orange peppers, and some onion and mushrooms if I have. And I had some squash I threw in there. Cook it up with olive oil, extra virgin, and stir up the omelet, the egg, 3 eggs in a bowl. Wait till it starts cooking a little bit. Dump the bowl of the eggs on top, and then bake it for about 3 minutes at like 290. And that's how you eat a hamburger, and that's how you eat eggs. It's so healthy because I got all the protein from the eggs and the hamburger, and it goes from there. But that's just, it's a perfect meal. I had hamburgers with a salad for lunch, so I made my 3 pounds of hamburger. And anyway, 2 eggs into the pan or throw the burger in. Well, I throw the burger in first, but I squish it. So I've already cooked the hamburgers. So the hamburger is a regular, solid burger. And then when I'm going to put it in, first I put in olive oil, let it heat up. Then I take the burger and I kind of break it up. And then I put the veggies in. And I'm over here, I got a bowl where I'm mixing the eggs, and I'm putting in salt and pepper and garlic into my egg with some half and half, and I'm stirring it up. When this gets cooking enough, then I pour the eggs on top of everything. So everything's covered in egg, and it's just great because the egg's such a good go with. And it's 3 eggs, not 2. So I have the pan or the high. I have the pan, frying pan. My omelet be hard to flip these days. I don't flip it. I just pour it over it. I let it sit. I bake it. And then I take my spatula and just pour it into my bowl here. Right? So I just pour it right in. I don't turn it. It's not a regular omelet. I'm not flipping it. I'm covering it, and that's it. And I'm letting it do its thing. So I'm not even trying to flip it. I just shove it. It just comes out, and I'm eating it all together anyway. I don't need to eat an omelet. Anyway, so this is the problem when the whole world is on Keynesian economics that doesn't work. That's fairy tale. They don't use Say's law, which is make what people want. And then you go to work and you produce, and then you consume, and you save your. So if you make $2,000 and your costs for the pay period are $1,000, what do you do with the other $1,000? They want you to spend it, but that's stupid. I want to save it, or I'll buy gold with it, and in effect, I'm saving it with the gold. I'm not spending the gold right now. That comes at $50,000. Right now, I'm not spending it. So in a sense, I've saved my money and done that. Some people invest it in the stocks. They buy Apple or Microsoft. In a sense, they're saving it and trying to get more, but you can't really trust Wall Street. So it's very hard. Yeah, but Bobby, you put the burger in the pan too, right? Yeah, that's the first thing. I'm heating it up, olive oil, it gets hot. I put it on medium, crumple, break up the hamburger. It's in the frying pan. I take the veggies, they're in the frying pan. They're all cooking. Then after a couple minutes, I throw in the egg, and you throw it in and it's watery, and then you let it dry up and cover all the veggies and meat. So it completely covers it. That's what I'm doing. Should make a cookbook. Yeah. Professor have a cooking channel. I know. I got a lot of channels, right? So that's what's happening is the world's being run by Keynesians, but the problem is Keynesians don't work. So to put it in football terms, it's like having Sam Darnold be your starting quarterback, and all the quarterbacks are Sam Darnold, but he's not good. And therefore they're all, or like here, Richardson, they're all going to Richardson style. and he sucks, and they wonder why they're all losing. And here's the Mahomes and the Burrow guy over here, and he's laughing, going, "What the fuck are you doing with Richardson? He's not a good quarterback." And that's really the whole point of it. So the whole world, I believe George Soros responsible, goes ahead, and all the governments don't know what they're doing, hire Keynesians, and that's what's taught. I learned this in 1995. I graduated with my master's, learning Austrian economics, which I never knew before. When I went for my undergrad in the 80s, it was Keynesian economics. And I sat there, and it took me a half hour to do my final because I didn't know what the fuck the guy was talking about. And I had no idea how to even, here's a question, I couldn't even answer it. Now I got a master's in economics now. And if I took the class, I guarantee you I still wouldn't be able to answer it because it's in a whole different language, in governmental language that nobody fucking understands, that you sit there and you have no idea what in the hell the guy's talking about. It's this graph, it's that graph, and the names are strange. And, I teach you very basic at a good level where you can follow and you go, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm buying gold and silver. The dollar is inflated. But I teach you exactly what inflation is. I was watching Maloney and I was watching a couple other idiots over the last 2 days. And they don't understand paper and physical gold. They don't understand what inflation. One guy was sitting there going, well, there's inflation, and then there's the devaluing of the money. And I'm like, but that's inflation. What the fuck are you talking about? So he's saying like prices is inflation, and then the devaluation of the dollar as if it's something else. And you're like, what are you talking about? So, I mean, these are the people on there, and that's what I worry about. And that's why I kind of try to put my foot down and say, don't listen to these guys because they're going to confuse you. It's enough that couple classes back when the guy doesn't understand that, in 10 years, the gold price will go up. No. It's all happening very, very soon. So let me get to our buddies. This is a good one for you, Bobby. Our doctor did one on autography today, and it's a great video. It really hits it home, and it's all the same with him. Do your fasting; it'll heal your body because you get out of the way. Then he kind of says, what do they tell you? Eat a breakfast, eat 6 times a day, and it's all bad for you. Eat carbs and everything else. And he just is like me. He's saying, don't eat the carbs, don't eat the sugar, don't eat 6 times a day. Do like you, a 12, 16-hour fast. And that'll keep you healthy, except for my back. All right. So
of the developments there, because it sounds like that may be something that
this looks like an old one
based on in the dike or the dam.
I think the critics are pretty wide in the mark as to why they have mismanaged policy, because the critics are, they are on the same Keynesian page basically as the Bank of England. So what they're doing is they're expressing disappointment at the outcomes. Anything rational, if you like, in the sense that they can argue why and where the Bank of England went wrong. They can't do that because they are working off the same hymn sheet, as it were, as the Bank of England and indeed the government. And we see, interestingly, we've had 2 developments recently, which for anyone with any sense of an understanding of economics and what's happened in the past, the empirical evidence and all the rest of it. One was our Chancellor turned around and said, he would welcome a recession because that would get inflation down. Well, the thing that's wrong with that is it goes back to Keynes denying Say's law. I mean, the idea is that if the consumer is unemployed, he's not going to be spending. So that means there's going to be a glut of product on the market. Well, that's absolute rubbish, because the consumer, through the division of labor, is employed to produce things. Now, if he's out of work, then production is going to decline as well. Now, obviously, some things are going to decline more rapidly than others in terms of total volumes, and there will be, consequently, different effects on prices. But the idea that you have a general glut is completely wrong. And in this country, we had a very, very good example why this was muddle-headed thinking back in the 1970s. We had a pretty awful economy. I mean, it was worse than what we have now by a fair measure. Yet we had inflation, and it ran up to 25%, I think, in 1975-6. I mean, 25% inflation is a lot worse than what we have at the moment in an economy that at that stage was deeper in recession. So the idea that interest rates will decline with the recession, as the Chancellor seemed to think, is poppycock. I mean, it's just complete nonsense.
Before you leave that point, one thing that occurred to me is certainly happened in the U.S., and I'd like maybe you can update us on how it is in the UK, because you mentioned two different points in time, several decades apart. There's been a general tendency in the US to move away from manufacturing and production to services.
I hate that guy. His stupid questions. So that's basically what I read you. So he basically did this show and then basically copied everything into it. Let's see, I got one more thing that he said.
That right in this crime that's happening right in under our noses in our lives, and has happened in our generation, our parents, our grandparents' generation, about basically governments fleecing the ordinary working and saving classes, and that if we're going to take care, government is not going to take care of us. What's called Social Security in the United States is now just a joke. They're saying they're going to have to cut benefits to 70% because they're going to be out of money in 11 years, that sort of thing.
They're already out of money, more.
People were looking to that as their retirement. No, the people are saying it's not even going to be a meaningful contribution to their retirement, that sort of thing, if there is going to be such a thing as retirement. So that people have to take things into their own hands.
Yeah, and the spending. Some extraordinary figure which I saw on Zero Hedge, but how the Biden administration is spending something like $13 billion on the children of refugees, or the immigrants who've come through from Mexico. Hold on, this is an enormous sum of money. Why, and does it actually get there? No, I mean it all gets sort of lost in the administration. Lots of people get paid lots of money to do something which in theory should be something. And just a small bit of it maybe gets out to achieve the stated objective. The rest of it just supports a huge, great government machine. And as to your point about government, you're absolutely right. If you actually deflate GDP, take government out of GDP, and then look and see how GDP has increased, and you'll find that a lot of the so-called growth has just been in the government sector, not in the private sector. Of course, you can't actually do a sensible comparison, because the value of the currency which GDP is measured in isn't anchored to anything. It's the whole thing is just a complete myth. It's a situation which has been deteriorating really in America's case from when the Fed was invented back, what was it, 1912 or whatever it was, 1913. So that's 110 years. And it wasn't going to go on forever. And I think we've probably got to the point now where I think markets will just call time on the whole thing. We can't be far away. And under those circumstances, the only thing you can have is physical precious metals, gold, silver, because that is the only thing that will retain value in, a sort of a general systemic collapse, which I think is increasingly difficult to avoid. I mean, you can maybe put it off a little bit by printing a bit more and so on. But I mean, there's going to come a point where, first of all, the foreigners lose confidence in a currency which is not their base currency, and they'll start selling it. And that's the danger which I think I've identified for sterling. And I've also, in the past, definitely spoken about as a danger for the dollar. And then eventually, I think when ordinary people realize that it's not prices going up, but their currency going down, they'll start dumping their currency. They will just get out of any liquidity they have while they can. And that's the end of the fiat currency. And it's difficult to see how that can now be avoided.
Alistair, you always give us food for thought.
Food for thought. So there you have it from Alistair.
With Robinhood,
We can get to Andrew in a second.
Firm of one. Make informed decisions with advanced charts. Audible is the best place to listen for everyone. For story people, comedy people.
This is about not being shit.
So what he's saying, he can see the end coming, and a lot of what he said is what he ends up writing in his blog. I couldn't tell if that was an old one or not, but I guess not, because what he just said was what he just wrote. So again, the reason is gold is because there's no other place to park it. And this is going. See, it doesn't matter if it's the reserve currency. You have to look at the currency as it by itself. And, sort of like, is it a good team? Well, they got a good player, but are they a good team? And that's kind of what you have here. They might be the reserve currency that everybody uses, but guess what? It doesn't have a value. This currency is zero, just like the English and the French and the Spanish and the Romans before them. They all had good currencies, but guess what? Didn't last because they got inflated to zero because they weren't backed by anything. You must back your currency with an anchor, gold and silver. There's one, the Kuwait one, the guy was talking to us a couple of days ago, and it's backed by oil. And I don't understand that. How does oil keep the value of dollars? Because the theory of backed by gold is if I want to take $100, I go to the bank and say, give me $100 worth of gold, and they should have the gold there. Then I'd love to work at the bank and we'd plan a bank robbery. But in the other, what are you going to do with oil? Yeah, give me a barrel of oil. I want $100 worth of oil. I don't know how you can back it by oil because oil is not really an anchor. There's a lot that comes out of the ground, a lot more than gold. I think you got to back it, but it just shows you, even backing it by oil, it's still the dollar. But the dollar is worth 31 cents there. So the euro is like 93 cents now. So if you give them a dollar, you get 93 cents euro back. In Kuwait, you'd give them a dollar, you get 31 cents back. So it's it would buy 31 cents of Kuwait dollars, whatever. So it does show you if it's back. But so basically what he's saying is it's about to collapse soon. That's why I sit there going, what do you mean 10 years? It doesn't make any sense. And then just the whole thing of, of the printing and the inflating and everything. And the government's not knowing what the hell they're talking about. And they're looking at prices. Now, one thing I did read about why people probably think the food prices are you won't have food is because I read in Alistair's thing, he talked about price fixing. So we're going to make steaks $5. Well, it only works if you can make profit, right? Let's go back to, what's the market for something? But if you're in the market, what's your cost? What's your profit? What can you sell it for? So if you buy Canadian Club, so let's say this costs you $20 a bottle and you're going to sell it for $40. Well, let's say the government says you got to sell it for $25. They won't make it anymore because there's no point. There's no profit to be made. So you cannot force Canadian Club to sell the bottle where they're not making a profit. So price fixing. So if you say, all right, Orioles, you got to sell them for $2.50 and it costs them $3, guess what? They won't make it. So that's why people are probably saying there won't be food, because if they go to price fixing, you fuck the producer, so he's not going to make it. So you go to the grocery store, there's nothing there because the guys can't make any money, so they're not going to. You've killed the economy, basically. I don't know. That's what they're thinking of doing in the UK. I don't know if they'll do it here. They might, but it's a big mistake. It's the end. Once they do that, it's all over, because the market dictates prices, and you're in business only if you can make your 20%. So if I can sell this, if I can make this for 25 and sell it for 50, I'm going to make it. But if it costs me 40 and I got to sell it for 35, I'll never make it. And if I can't even control my own prices, I'm not going to make it. So that's the problem, right? I can't control my prices because it's fixed. So if I can't, I can raise my price to at least make money. You can see Orioles and Cheerios doing that now. And they're trying, and then it's like, oh, okay, buy one, get the second one free, because they make money on the units, right? So if I sell 10 boxes, even though it's a little bit lower, it'll still be good. So that's what they're trying to do. So that's why we'll get in trouble. That's why price fixing never works. They cannot tell you. Let's say they did it in baseball, Bobby. So they said, what the best you can get is $50,000. And all these Bobby and Verlander and Mantle and Mays, they just sit there and go, I'm not playing. I should be making $2 million, $5 million a year, and I can only get 50,000. That's all I can get. Then they won't play, and that's the other problem. So anyway, that's the problem with price fixing. The market and the producer control the price. Well, the market actually controls it, but the producer only makes it if it's worth his while. So if the market wants blue shirts and the government says you got to sell them for $10 and nobody can make them for $10, nobody produces them. And then, wait a minute, we want them, but we can't get them because they won't produce it. And that's the problem. That's why you can't have the government do it. The market does it. Now you try to sell it for 25. The market says, okay, well, we need a blue shirt. We'll pay 25 for it. That's what happens. And really, that's the whole key to it, is letting the market dictate prices, letting the consumer go to work, make money so we can afford chocolate pie. And then you go make chocolate pie because I want it. I'm demanding it. When you go through the freezer section in the grocery store, what do you see? 18 different kinds of ice cream and chocolate pie and Cool Whip and all that stuff. And then you go to the bakery and there's donuts and brownies. That's because people want that and they're willing to pay, but they're not $100 for an ice cream. That would never work. But they're not $2 for ice creams either. They're about $5 for a little, half gallon or something now. So if I'll get that half gallon jug, I'm planning it's going to be $5. And that's what I do. Bobby, I'm taking a couple of weeks off from searching real estate as the supply is too low and overpriced. So hard to find a good deal. Yeah, I'm telling you, just wait about 6 months and all you'll need is 1 ounce of gold. So go buy an ounce of gold. You want a house, go buy an ounce of gold and save it. And when the housing market drops, the dollar's gone and people only can use gold and silver. Bobby walks in with an ounce of gold and he's like, you're like Eddie Murphy in Trading Places. You're like, I'll take that one. I'll take that one. I mean, that's what will happen. So why would you want to buy a house just before it crashes? Why is it going to crash? Because the Chinese and the Germans and all the people with money, the Russians, the Germans, all they don't want to be in U.S. dollars. And therefore, as they know the U.S. dollar is collapsing, what are they going to? But they have money here in real estate and homes and office buildings and investments are going to pull them. They're going to say, I'm going to sell the house and I need to get out of American dollars and probably buy gold or silver if they're Switzerland. And that's what is happening. So that's really what you've got to understand. But they're just starting to sell it. Let them sell it. Give them a few months to sell. Maybe by September, when the kids are going back to school, they'll want to sell the house. That's the popular time is July, August, September. People move for school, at least it used to be. And that would be it. By the way, what you think of sesame chicken? I had that Saturday. It was okay. I think the General Chow that the people make are better. But I wanted a change of pace. So I got sesame chicken and I got the chicken chow mein I showed you. I think they make the General Chow better. That's why I always get the General Chow. But I was just tired of it, wanted a new one. So that's what I did. So anyway, just right now the foreigners have $7 trillion in U.S. Dollars in America that they're going to sell because they're realizing we don't want to hold this. It has no value. That's the key. If this has no value and we don't want to hold it, then, these people most of them are pretty smart. They realize that the inflation is there and they know inflation hurts the value. And that's why gold will really go through because once people start getting out of the dollar, the only place to run is gold and silver. You're not running into anywhere. Now, if the BRICS countries come out with their dollar backed by gold, or some other countries start backing it by Zimbabwe came out with a gold like coin that's worth like they have an ounce, a half ounce and stuff. So I don't know. I would run to Zimbabwe to buy one of theirs when we can buy one of ours, but right now it's priced in US dollars. So keep that in mind. Once gold goes to the gold price, the physical price, the real gold price, that's when it's all over. That's when we're really going to make a ton. So again, physical, not paper. Am I getting some tomorrow? General Chow or gold? Probably General Chow. Gold, I'll probably wait 2 weeks because I'm due a Social Security check and another paycheck 2 weeks from today. I was kind of disappointed. I didn't get paid yesterday. So I sent Daria money Wednesday night, and I said, I get paid. The first check came, it was Thursday morning. And I said, so don't worry. And I never thought it would hit my bank. I sent her a PayPal Thursday and Wednesday night, and it actually hit my account yesterday, which I thought it wouldn't. It would have went on Thursday's banking and then hit today. But I didn't get my paycheck, so I was like, fuck. And but it was okay. I had money to cover it, but then today the paycheck came, and I think the reason was because of the holiday, Memorial Day pushes everything back a day. And the problem I had too is I didn't get the alert. I wake up and I see the banking alert and I go, oh, I got paid. I got unemployment. I got Social Security. I got my first check. And then today I didn't see anything. So I go into my account and I see it hit. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why didn't it go off? I think it's an early payment warning because everything I get, I always get paid early. So like Social Security, I'm supposed to get on Wednesday. I get on Monday. So I won't get it Monday. I'll get it next Monday. And then the Thursday after that, I'm going to get a nice paycheck. I'll lose a day for Memorial Day. I don't get paid for holidays because I'm contract. And so if I don't work, I don't get paid. So, but I get such a big hourly rate that, okay, fine. and not a big deal considering where I was at, getting $2,300 a month. Now I'm getting like $3,500 every 2 weeks versus like I lose for the holiday. I think I'll get $3,100 or something like that, which is still fine. I'm not going to object to it. All right, so let's look at Andrew McGuire, and I want to go to the 5 minute mark. So I'll start it.
AtMex is the largest online metals retailer that provides customers the easiest way to shop on the
computer. I already skipped.
To keep that in mind. Now, we've looked in detail at this extremely important split in this speculator group in recent episodes, so I won't waste time here as there's so much new to cover here. And with this in mind, in this episode, we're going to focus on the two primary tools that the Fed utilizes to try and manage their extremely wrong-footed paper market bets into an ever-dwindling group of rinsable speculators. Now, the preferred tool is the directionally programmed high-frequency trading bot that gears speculators to tick for tick buy or sell gold and silver against the dollar index. And we've talked about this multiple times, and why speculators, when taking this bet, are entering into a dangerous naked short bet that could easily result in unlimited losses. Now, the secondary tool, which is the trade and settlement tool, the TAS, is used in conjunction with the primary tool, but with the specific mandate of igniting synthetically driven monthly downside price air pockets, which we see all the time. Which is all that is the pit managers are using this to capitalize on price moves. Now, however, in both cases, these paper games are at the cusp of blowing up. And we will explain how this game has been sussed out by a competing central bank, sovereigns, and some very smart institutional money managers. And short-term volatility aside, under the smoke and mirrors, the Fed is the only remaining central bank that is trying to delay an inevitable gold price revaluation and are losing this battle. Now, before we drill down into this, let's first pick up the thread from last week on the little reported move by Beijing.
So he's saying the Fed's in big trouble and about to, they can't keep going with COMEX. There was a lot of COMEX being bought and everything else. So, this ain't going to last 10 years, whoever that fellow was.
All its US assets at once, but they're undoubtedly in the process of stealthily opting out of the hegemonic dollar-based system.
Talking about China.
Which requires, obviously, opting in to a sufficiently liquid alternative medium of exchange for its trade with its partners. Now, physical gold, once delivered, is the only global currency that has zero counterparty risk and is infinitely fungible, has been for 5,000, 6,000 years, and is sufficiently so to provide a liquid solution to be able to ultimately opt out of the dollar and into a gold and interconnected hard commodity-backed solution, which is what is underway. And hence, this is China's immediate focus is actually on stealthily breaking up US dollar dominance in parts of the world, starting with where Beijing's trading partners are. It makes sense. And this is well underway. So in the event of any one of China's red lines being crossed, their Sino-Russian alliance would be able to access a potential unaggregated 60,000 tons of physical gold reserves to provide this unfactored, unpriced opt-in solution. Now, conservatively, we're talking 20,000 tons of unpublished PBOC reserves. Many people see it higher than that. We're using minimums here. There's 25,000 tons auditably held by citizens, along with its gold alliance agreements. It has a wartime trade partner with Russia. Easily aggregates really what is accessible to this group. staggering 60,000 tons. Now, this move by Beijing to open up gold to its citizens also provides them the ability to commandeer these privately held physical reserves in order to bolster as yet hidden PBOC reserves that are salted in the state-held banks.
So we had the guy, on Monday, Bobby, tell us that China had 2,000 tons of gold. And here Andrew's saying now it's 60,000 tons of gold. Because they're not just central bank. They're in the other banks. The people hold some. The whole country, look at it as a country, not the central bank, has 60,000 tons. Russia's there batting second at about 15 to 20,000 tons. And they mine it and they keep it and they just store it in a vault. It's not central bank. You think Putin believes in a central bank? And China doesn't either. These communist countries do not believe in central, it's print money for me and steal gold for me. That's what they do. So China is opting. Let me give another minute or two.
Now, such a warlike measure would not be considered to be a Western-style bail-in, really revealing the real level of gold reserves. Once you reveal the real level of gold reserves, held by the China, it would almost certainly see these gold reserves quickly rise in value against the fiat dollar benchmark, and while also bolstering the gold bank accounts of its citizens, they're going to be more than willing to be seen to be patriotically watching their gold investments significantly appreciate in value. Now, once China reveals the extent of its gold reserves, it will force every Western central bank to revalue gold. And the global gold price would easily top $2,500 in very short order. And we talked about much higher prices than that, probably $6,000, and the rationale for that in the last episode. So please go back and look at that. But so this is why we're seeing the statement by the PBOC. These freshly incentivized gold investments will provide a return to investors based solely on price appreciation. But as we will shortly look at, the PBOC will and are already once again protecting these freshly incentivized SGE gold investments from price from a Western generated paper market price collapse. Now, as physical gold, yes, Shane, you can also read silver into this, as they get readopted as fungible global settlement currencies, amongst the SCO trade partners, gold will shake off its paper wrappers. And
thank God.
All monetary metals, every single one of the four monetary metals will be revalued to a much higher supply-demand price than is presently baked in to the paper-diluted, unbacked dollar gold benchmark. Now, what is notable is these freshly incentivized gold investments are designed to provide a return based, as I say, solely on gold price appreciation. And the last time the PBOC encouraged middle-class citizens to buy gold back in 2010, they also moved to underpin that gold price. And our liquidity providers exposed to the Chinese market suggest the gold price is anticipated to once again be underpinned by the PBOC, but this time really around $900 higher than the equivalent dollar price that we saw in 2010. And as was just exposed into the end of the month, we look at the short-term action, you can see the intraday action, you can see the monthly action. Into the end of the month, COMEX rigged sell-off. Everyone looks at the price coming down. What's going on? Just as we saw in 2010, we once again see the PBOC at work actively underpinning the SGE gold price. Now, this exposes really the nature of these two siloed global gold markets. One is paper and one is physical. And as we know, mainland China, Chinese physical gold, is forbidden from being exported, yet it is continually being imported in all forms. Now, on grid, as reported by the SGE, which is hence the data evidencing the what's held privately by and sourced through the SGE auditably, what does not flow through the SGE is unreported by the PBOC. And why would they report this? It's private. This is
Anyway, so that you like that news, Bobby? Everything's going to be revalued in physical, not paper. The 6,000 is, it's like the beginning, right? Once it hits 6, it hits 10, it hits 20, it goes and goes and goes. The biggest thing is people don't believe gold's worth, the investment. Where do they lose their money in the stock market? So people believe that. Oh no, gold, it doesn't look at the guy. It'll take 10 years to move up in value. It doesn't go anywhere. It's not a good investment. It ain't an investment. We all know you're getting out of this before this goes to zero. So you don't want to hold this. That's your risk, is holding this and trying to time when I should get rid of this and buy gold. Oops, gold's at 6,000. How many ounces are you going to buy? But that's what's coming. And PBOC is the People's Bank of China. So when he talks like that, he's talking China. He does have a problem talking in a little different language than cover the shorts. And I understand with the shorts, you're hoping the price goes down, but some of it's a little too technical. I wish he would, if he's going to talk that way, like I do, Say's law. I explain Say's law. Supply creates demand. Where's supply? All right, let's go to
a steady unwind of paper market leverage. As this dilutive liquidity flows out of the casino back door, it will become too thin to gain, ultimately leading into the Fed being forced to revalue gold on their books before more embarrassing failed repatriation requests are made.
Now, Andrew, you had also mentioned, we're talking about tools. I guess this is the episode on tools here, but you had mentioned another tool that this casino employs to rig the tables. Now, it'd be helpful to explain like how they use this monthly tool to counterintuitively create these air pockets that we can maybe capitalize on.
Yeah, and this is about not being shaken out. This is understanding how simple this game actually is. The casino pit managers, whale-sized footprints are actually impossible to hide. Just like they pulled a similar poker chip sweep of speculator chips in April, the house managers were once again seen to be rigging the machines, which they do, 95% losses, 5% wins, of a similar sweep during May, as we saw in April. And this one, this one is the trade I referred to earlier, the tool I referred to earlier, which is the trade at settlement tool. Don't glaze over, guys. It's important to understand. This particular house game it's a risk-free. It's risk-free because it's price risk hedged. And on the face of it, legitimately capitalizes on time value by simultaneously buying a front month futures contract and then selling short a further out contract. That should be technically balanced. Fine if they're executed simultaneously. But by scheming to disruptively close one side of the hedge while keeping the other leg open, they turn this spread trade into an illegal practice right under the noses of the regulators. And that is right on the front burner at the moment. Now, during May, as in every other month, we've evidenced the House disruptively closing their long paper market legs of the expiring, and we saw it on the June contract, while deliberately holding back on closing the balancing offsetting short leg of this offsetting trade at settlement tool in August. Now, August spread trade positions, again, this is the spread trade position. So basically June and August is the two legs. Again, by design, this balancing act was concluded just in time to square up their rigged paper gold market short bets at a discount right at options expiration, where you mark everything to market. Now, in plain vanilla form, these legitimate contango capturing arbitrage bets are technically neutral. And while this contango can also be arbitraged in the over-the-counter forward market, we see little evidence of this crossover from COMEX to spot due to the fact that the NSFR compliant spot delivery markets must be physically backed. So it's not risked, as liquidity providers could be called on for delivery into a black swan event.
So basically what he's saying is now if they do short this, it then has to go into it has to be settled in gold, and that's the problem with it. Let's see. So don't waste your time with these two idiots. This Kayowski's fucking Keynesian. He doesn't understand inflation, and then Maloney's totally clueless. So don't even waste your time when you see these guys. They don't know what they're talking about.
The Intercontinental Champion. He's from Sarasota.
For you, Bobby.
What is the
Professional wrestling completely clean. Oh, yeah. Doing the thing, yeah. Like nobody ever does before. Hey, don't look behind you, Hulk Hogan. Don't look to the sides. Look straight up. I'm right on top of it. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Elizabeth, you look gorgeous as usual.
Thank you very much.
When you get into New York City, you have an opportunity to do a little shopping.
Yes.
Excuse me, just let me interrupt this for a second. I'm just standing here, I'm holding a gold belt. I'm only the champion. You guys got a conversation going. It's like the most important man in the world standing here. Got a conversation going with each other. Now
We could
explain
talk
to me
about
why.
you.
Put that thing down. Don't degrade the champion at any time. A man in my position could never afford to look ridiculous. You know who you're with? You're with me. Macho Man Randy Savage. Goodbye.
How'd you like that one, Bobby? Just a little change of pace. Anyway, so we see it all happening very soon. They're just what, the Macho Man, or yeah, he was on a few videos. Did you see Elizabeth in it? She's all like scared, like she's looking scared. Like, okay, she acted well. Anyway, so we can see what's about to happen. We can see why it's going to happen. We can see nobody wants this. We can see everybody's running the gold, all the central banks, and China, 60,000 tons. Okay, so if gold's no good, then can anybody explain why China's got 60,000 tons of it if gold's bullshit? You can't, because they're not doing it for the hell of it. That's the point. Yeah, I like to watch that at times. It's a nice, yeah. Well, the guy asked me, how do I stay sane without drinking? Well, there you go. I watch a lot of movies and a lot of old Rose Bowl and old Michigan Ohio State games, and so I was watching. You'd like this, Bobby. I was watching 1973 World Series, Oakland and the Mets, and Oakland wins. Reggie hits a bunch of home runs, and a good old college football game. Watch the USC Ohio State 1975 Rose Bowl, or 74. It's the one after the 74 season. What a great game that was. These Rose Bowls, Ohio State, USC, just loaded with talent. I think it was the 70. It'll have the red, white, and blue design at the middle of the field. So I get confused because it's the 74 season. I think it's the 75 Rose Bowl, after the 74 season because Archie Griffin was still there. Yeah, take that. And even if you go back a few Rose Bowls, those are great games. The best game you're going to ever watch is the 74 Oakland Miami champion playoff game. You want to watch a game, you watch that game. The 81 Montana game, the catch. But mostly these 1970, there's a 70. Well, there's some Montana. The green jersey game. Well, they didn't win because they wore green jerseys. They won because Joe Montana was their fucking quarterback. I like that Fiesta Bowl, Stanford versus Oak State. What year was that? Andrew Luck versus Brandon Whedon and Justin Blackman, the receiver. Oh, yeah, that's there's something. It's just watching the old 70s games. There's a lot different. So you got Montana at 76, 77 when they beat a good one's the Cotton Bowl 77. Montana against Earl Campbell, and that was my first teaser bet. And I just saw it, but I didn't bet the teaser right. I took both teams in it. I had Notre Dame as the dog, but then I had Texas, but Texas got blown out. Notre Dame killed them. So that's where I never want to take both sides in the same teaser. I'll like I did with the Super Bowl. I took the dog and the over. Before I might have taken both teams, and I would have got away with it. But you want to, if you can't really tell, you take the dog, especially if you have good talent. How about Oregon versus Russell Wilson in Wisconsin? That's okay, but that's not old. I mean, get into the 70s. I got to check the older ones. As growing up in New York, I didn't watch as much college football. Well, I'll give you. I used to work at Farmer Jack's as a stock boy, and I unloaded trucks when I was 16 years old. And I had to work Saturdays, and I never worked Sundays, even though it was double time during football season. I told them I don't want to work it, and the other guys didn't mind because they got double time. And the one manager used to come to me for picks. Even back then, I'm 16, giving out picks, and so the head manager goes to me, "Are you like independently wealthy?" And I looked at him like I didn't really know what that meant at 16, but I said, "I really don't need the money. I'm kind of here for the entertainment, and I like food and I like the girls, but I really, just need a little bit of money." I was living at home at 16, so it was kind of like, if I make a couple, and I'll make a hell of a lot more betting football. So I needed enough money to be able to bet the football. And so am I independently. I had the whole store coming up for picks. I loved it. But back then you didn't have cell phones. So we had to go out to the lobby and to the payphone and dial like 1-800, whatever the football picks was, Jimmy the Greek. And then he'd go down the game. He'd go down the picks. So every half hour I'm getting, and everybody's like, "What's the score? Who's winning here?" And that was the year 1977. I had a week. I went 17-0, and I won like $1,700. And I'm making I don't even know if I'm making $10 an hour. And back then, 1,700 was like real money, not like 1,700 is now. And I'll never forget. I hit every game. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this game won, and that game won, this lock won, and that. It was phenomenal. And I don't even know if they were teasers at that point, but I hit every fucking game. It was a Saturday, and I'm working at fucking Farmer Jack's, a grocery store here. Even this past year, those 2 college football games were great. Not much defense, but were very exciting. Oh yeah, that's good shit for. I mean it was. This is so this is how life changed. I would. So the point of the story, I think it was 78 or 79. I ended up buying the first VCRs. the big heavy ones with the big knobs, and you'd push the knob. And I'd basically record, I think I could do 6 hours at the time of ABC. So I'd get like the 3:30. I would work from 2:30 to 11. So I would tape the 4 o'clock game and the night game. And I always had to work Saturdays. And that's why I never worked Sunday. So I always had the pros on, and I just would watch that. And on Saturday, I'd be home, I get home at 11:30. At 12 o'clock, I'm watching football till 3 in the morning, just wonderful. That's why I don't drink. I have that instead. But that was, I remember that. And I paid for the VCR. It was like $1,000 with football money. And that's joy when you can get the VCR. And then you had to get these big tapes, and you'd throw them in the slot, and then it would go in, and then you'd program it. And that was just amazing. But I never worked Sundays, and like am I independently wealthy? And I'm like, look, the $100 I make, I'd much rather be betting on. I'm going to make more on. The point was, I was going to make more betting on the football than I was going to make at the job. And here's how stupid bookies are. So I'm nailing this one bookie, and he says to me, I can't take you anymore. The FBI is monitoring my phone. I can't take you anymore. And I just laughed at him. I'm going, you want to kill the goose that's laying the golden egg? I go 80% with you the whole year. I make, I don't know, $10,000 in the 70s, and I'm a kid. And instead of taking my picks and betting them, you don't want my action because I win. This is how stupid these guys are. Unless they just didn't bet, but you think, oh, here's Professor's picks. Let's bet them. And the biggest bet I ever made, 1980, and I think I just watched this game, was Florida State, Oklahoma, the year after Billy Sims, I think, was at Oklahoma. So he had just left. And Florida State had Ron Sims was just getting good, and they were getting like 7 or 10 points in the Orange Bowl in Miami. Florida State, the weather's not going to bomb against Oklahoma, and I had 13 or 15, and I had it like for $2,000, which back then was, as I said, serious money. And I'm playing poker, and the guys don't believe I have the bet. I show them my slip. And they're freaking out, and then I turn on the game, and Florida State's winning 16-10 or 17-10. Late in the fourth quarter, they just blocked the punt to go up 10, and I got 13. I go, the game's all over. I'm up 20 with 5 minutes left. It was just sure joy with that. Ron Simmons, you mean Farouk? Was that his wrestling name? I know he hurt the knee, didn't really play much in the game, and I was a little pissed off going, fuck, he's an All-American. I need him, and I didn't need him at all. The backups, they were just – the reason for the bet was they were very fast, and Oklahoma was a very fast team running the wishbone. This is running the wishbone time, and they just couldn't move on them. I mean, they got 18 points. They scored with 17-10 with 2 minutes left, and Oklahoma – drove and scored. Maybe it was Billy Sims last year, and they won and went for 2, and then they won 18-17. But they couldn't move on them because Florida State's defense was very fast. This is when they had I wasn't sure if you knew, Professor. Well, I've heard of Farouk. I don't know if I thought he wrestled under Ron Simmons, but I know he played football at Florida State. And I know I bet on him more importantly. But back then, Florida State was not known. They were not Florida State. They were just becoming Florida. Bobby Bowden just took over. And they would go to Nebraska. They would go to Penn State. They would go to Michigan. They would go to all these places. That's when they had Deion Sanders and everything. So they were going and winning at Nebraska and winning at Oklahoma and winning at Penn State. And they were just starting to become, and I made a ton on them. I was taking them as the dog all the time. and they're always a road dog, and they always won the game straight out. But then I always bet Miami over Florida State when they played because Miami won all the time. So that's when you look at trends. So it was like Miami, Florida State. And I don't remember the Rock at Miami. He was just a linebacker, defensive end or something. But I know they always I remember Michael Irvin and the boys. That was another big one, was that Nebraska game when they were getting 14, Bernie Kosar, and it was the same thing. It was a good $2,000 bet, getting 14. I don't even know if I must have teased it. I don't know. Probably didn't need it. I had 14, and they took a big lead. Nebraska ties them. They go back out, and then Nebraska at the end's going for 2, and they don't get it. And Miami wins, and I had Miami plus 14. That's where you got the balls from, is you picked that, and there was, I don't even think Michael Irvin was on the team. It was Bernie Kosar's team, and all those fast guys, and they had a great defense. And that's what I remember, just when those teams started to get. So that's what I keep looking for now. But what happens is Miami was good for 10 years. Florida State was good for 20 years. Once you knew them, it's the cat's out of the bag. But in the beginning, I caught them in the beginning. And now I don't know who to look for, especially with the coaches changing in the transfer portal. You're fucked. I mean, how are you going to find a team like that? And Alabama's not that team. You need a team coming out of nowhere, and maybe Georgia's it, but they're not really. I think Kansas State, Iowa State, TCU now, Tennessee with the new coach. Those are, I think, the Miamis and Florida States now. Yeah, I remember Warren Sapp was talking shit about The Rock in an interview, saying he sucked. I don't remember him at football. I don't think I could see him in the middle of trying to make a tackle, giving the people's elbow and giving the people's eyebrow. Well, if you watch The Rock in the beginning when he's Rocky Maivia, he's nothing. I mean, he was I think, was he with Ron Simmons? But he was nothing. And then all of a sudden he turned into The Rock and did something, and all of a sudden he became a hit, but he wasn't. He was Rocky Maivia. Nobody, he didn't do anything. He said we were never completely competing for the position. I was on the field. He was on the bench. He said that it was never a competition to get the position. He pretty much got it easy. Well, yeah, I mean, we know how good Warren Sapp is. I mean, he's fucking Hall of Famer. But yeah, Miami got the players, I'll tell you that. And it was all like homegrown Miami guys, and they were really good football players, but they had the smackdown, and they were fast and physical. How they lost the Penn State game, I still cried over that. What the fuck was Testaverde doing? I always hated Testaverde because of that game. 5 interceptions. Fellas, if they're playing a deep zone, throw it underneath and flood the zone. I mean, come on, Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, he said that he asked Vince McMahon to give him one segment on the mic, and he will get over with the fans. Who, The Rock? He said he needed to be himself, and that Rocky Maivia gimmick wasn't working. Well, it wasn't even a gimmick. He was just, he had no charisma. Look at the Macho Man. I mean, with Elizabeth, it's a shame. Did you hear that story? So they get divorced, and Elizabeth's with Lex Luthor or Lex Luger or one of the Superman characters, and she overdoses and she dies. And then the Macho Man gets remarried and is driving in Florida, and he I don't know what happened, loses control and runs into a tree and gets killed. What a sad for those two. What a sad ending. Yeah, she died. Well, she overdosed. She was doing drugs with them, and and the Macho Man died in a car accident. But Hulk Hogan's still around. You should go see him, Bobby. He's in Florida. You could shake and bake with him, lay the smack down on him. I'm sure you could. Have you seen Lex Luthor? Isn't he like really weird looking because he lost all? He was on steroids and now doesn't have that body anymore and looks just old. But that was, I don't know. I haven't seen him in the last few years, put it that way. But yeah, like what is it? Tubi has a lot of good stuff. The Bret Hart thing. I can't understand the Bret Hart thing. He rides a little power scooter. We're in Buffalo and is a born again Christian. He rides a little power scooter. I got that. Oh, somewhere in Buffalo and a born again Christian. Yeah, well, after he can't get a girl like Elizabeth anymore, so he probably really freaked out. Born again. I love these born again Christian. Were you born a Christian and now you stop being a Christian and now you're born again as a Christian? I love that. What does that mean? Is you believe in religion or you don't? Or you believe in God? I don't know. Anyway, so there was Bret Hart with that whole Montreal screw job bullshit. He looks like he weighs about $110 now. So we could take him, huh, Bobby? We could tag team him and lay the people's elbow on him. So Bret Hart's sitting there, and I don't understand Bret Hart. Oh, I can't lose the title in Canada. Bret, it's all fairy tale. You know, it's like the Keynesians. It doesn't mean anything. What the fuck? It's fantasy. It's soap opera. Who cares where you lose? Nobody's going to care where you lose it. And if you didn't want to lose it, you should have called in sick that day. But you knew you couldn't take the belt to the WCW, so you had to leave the belt there. So what the fuck were you thinking? Oh, I'll do it. Well, he's got to promote the next champ, Hart. So I thought the thing, but Owen Hart, that was clearly a murder. I mean, how do you forget to hook the guy in? That's ridiculous. I think he was definitely murdered. Because Sting used to fly down from the ring. He never had a problem. So how would Bret Hart? You telling me nobody's up there checking? Okay, Bret, it's in, or did it not? Did the hook stay in, but the thing that was holding it fall? So which fell, the holder or the hook piece? That I don't know. But yeah, that was a shame that they killed him, but I don't know. There's too much bullshit going on. Well, what do we got tomorrow? There's nothing. Saturdays used to be the Major League Baseball game of the week. And you'd see like Clemente or you'd see Mays, Aaron, because you never saw him in the American League because it was national and American. Only the All-Star game. You want to watch something good, Bobby? You turn on like the 1969 All-Star game or the 71 All-Star game. It'll blow your mind. I mean, the players there, I think I saw a 65 one and Mantle's in it. And you're like, fuck. Those are, you want to watch All-Star. You want to watch a good game and enjoy yourself. 1972 All-Star game in Detroit or the 71. And the players on those teams were fucking unbelievable. Not like the players now who they're all named Rodriguez and Martinez. It's just sad what's going on now. But yeah, back then it was just unbelievable. Or go back into the 60s, you get Mays and Aaron and Mantle. Koufax and Gibson on the mound. It's just unbelievable all-star games. Not like this shit. That's the problem. We've come from there when you'd watch the All-Star game or an NBA All-Star game and Jordan and Bird, and now you got what? What in the world are they doing to these? They can't even do the Pro Bowl in the NFL because nobody wants to get hurt, so nobody wants to play. So what was it? Flag football? I mean, I didn't watch that shit. I'm certainly not going to bet on it. But yeah, the older, that whole 60s, 70s, 80s era is so much better than this shit right now. I don't understand it, but I mean, you want Denver and Miami, you would never have an 8 seed win 2 games in the first round. The 1 seed, the Celtics or the Lakers would bury them. Larry Bird would not lose a game in the first round, or Magic or Kareem or those guys. No fucking way. And then I love Jordan couldn't beat Boston. You know, this is the problem I have with Jordan. He's the greatest of all time, yet he never beat Larry Bird in a playoff series. How the fuck could he be better than Larry Bird? And Larry Bird killed him all the times he played him. I don't know. I just Magic beat Bird. I don't get the logic of this Jordan thing because he won 6 titles. Yeah, once Bird and Magic were out of the league, and Kareem and Isaiah, then he won his titles. But he couldn't beat Isaiah. He couldn't beat Bird, and Magic won them all. I'm sorry. That's it right there. And I think Wilt's better than all of them. I think if you had a chance to draft Wilt or or Jordan, you'd take Wilt in a heartbeat. Anyway, he was the best player. But yeah, you watch some wrestling. But these old, I hate when people say it was before I was born. It's on fucking YouTube. You want to watch a good another good Rose Bowl? Watch the 1969 Rose Bowl after the 68 season. You get O.J. Simpson against Jack Tatum. And Jack Tatum was faster. He was a running back that Woody made him a safety. You want to see a game there, you see O.J. Simpson and Jack Tatum and a few other Ohio State guys. They had shit quarterbacks, but they had just superstars playing. But then it gets, and then Lynn Swan's in the 72 Rose Bowl with Sam Cunningham. They put up 100 points. But even Lynn Swan, you could see at USC was going to be a star, and all their running backs they got there. But it's hard now. It's such bullshit. We got to pay the guys, and we got to have can you explain this LIV to me? I thought it was just to get if they got their name, if they wanted to sell their jersey with their name on it, they'd get part of the sales. Well, it doesn't mean they're supposed to get paid to play. So if I'm Ohio State, I got to pay the guy to play for Ohio State because of this NLI or NIL. What the fuck is that? It doesn't make any sense. So I don't get that at all. I don't get this transfer portal. Well, the kid should have the chance to go. Yeah. So if the kid doesn't start, he cries and leaves and looks for a place that he can get some playing time. And so what does he do? Every year he sucks, and every year he goes to a different college because he can't play. So I don't know. It's just I don't know what's going on, but it's very hard to find that Florida State Miami when they were just getting good in the 80s. And I'm betting Miami and Jimmy Johnson, Howard Schnellenberger. I made a fortune on those guys. I mean, I bought a car, I bought a VCR with football money. I didn't not working at Farmer Jack's. But yeah, I mean that's what happens. That's what I look for. But Kansas, maybe they were like that last year. Are they going to still be there? Kansas State, it's got to be teams like that are a little low. Like it can't be Alabama because they're already out, or Georgia. No, we already know them. It's got to be that Kansas State, Kansas, Iowa State, Utah, Washington. They're okay, but now they're getting good. And but these teams are good. Florida State was good for 20 years. Miami, 84 to 2000. I mean, it's just you're looking for a bet Miami and bet it under because you couldn't even score on them. But yeah, those are the good old days. But that's what I use as so when I say I've seen the game before, I have. It's the Florida State Oklahoma game. It's the defense. That's where you look at it. It's you're betting the defense, and then you're just looking for the new team that nobody really knows, but all of a sudden they're getting good. Maybe Oregon State, and if Purdue started to get going, but they just don't keep it. I don't know. They had that great coach, and then I think he went back to Louisville, and he just couldn't do anything. It just, you think they're good, at Louisville, they don't play anybody. Then they jump, these Conference USA guys, or the guy from UCF that went to Nebraska, Scott Frost, he looks like a superstar at UCF. And then he gets to Nebraska, and the competition's better, and the guy can't even go 500. What the fuck is that? I don't get these coaches. But anyway, so not much going on. I guess we're getting ready for, no, we already had Memorial Day. I guess we're getting ready for July 4th. U.S. Opens in 2 weeks. I don't know. I don't think I'll travel for a while. Can't go to Russia, and I'm not going to go see Jenna right now until her son gets back and can watch the dog for us. It's hysterical. So I don't see traveling. So maybe I'll go up north, or I could go to Vegas, but I got to get my back better. I got to get healthy. So I think that's the first thing I got to do. But we will see. And that's about it. So now it's I'd rather buy gold and silver than play poker, because I know I'm going to make money on the gold and silver. So it's, that's pretty much a lock. Gold and silver is going to go up. It can't really go down. This cannot be fixed, right? This is gone. So the only out for this, if I was the treasurer or the president or whatever, I would back it by gold. But I think I might actually need gold to back it by gold, which I don't have. That would be the only way, but then that would raise the gold price. So it's a no, you can't lose, because if they don't do anything, this goes to zero. Gold goes through the roof. China's got all the gold, wanting it to go up. Russia's got a lot of gold, wanting it to go up, as does India, as does Saudi Arabia, and all the other countries want their gold to go up. And the only way this can go up is to back it by gold, which they're not doing, because they don't even understand gold in the U.S. So this is going to zero. Then everything will be priced in gold. But I think when people are saying you won't get food, it's probably because of these price controls, because that's what London, England's doing. They're going to try to save the economy with price controls. It's like a bunch of morons in charge, and I don't get it. And it's because nobody really cares. I don't, it's like, whoever's in president, I ain't voting for any of the idiots. But if I was really smart, why would I run for office? It doesn't make sense. So you got to be careful there. But there's never anybody good to run, which maybe is on purpose. So the guys in the back can run the country, the Soros and the Jamie Dimons and all those losers can then run it. And then they destroy everything because they have money. But right now, I think the biggest tug of war is the people with money don't want to go to zero, so they won't lose it. Why gold went down today, you it's COMEX. And that's why, like Egon said, I don't even watch the price. I'm just doing it just to update, but really it doesn't matter, because I didn't buy it to sell it at 2,000 or 2,100. So I don't care if there's little downs across the way, but I know those are COMEX downs and they're derivative downs. They're not market. Nobody's selling gold. China is up to 60,000 tons of it. They're not selling. So the gold price has to go up once we get to a supply demand physical price, and that's really the key to it. So once that happens, then we'll get that. But until that happens, then just keep going the way we're going. Anyway, so I think that's about it. So I worked all day. I think I'm going to go run to the pool. It's 8. I'll get there by 8:30. I have an hour. The pool is open till 9:30 during the week. And then it's like 6:30 Saturday and like 4:30 on Sunday. I don't understand the weekend when it could be open longer. It isn't because we're not working. What needs to happen for supply and demand? Well, that's what Alice. That's what Andrew was talking. The second guy. The game is basically rigged where J.P. Morgan buys it on options and derivatives, and he says, I'm selling 1 million ounces, and it lowers the price, and then somebody on the other end is buying it on the low price, and they both make money somehow. I don't understand. Derivatives are like options. I don't really get that. I never played it. I know it's risky, and so that lowers the price because it's paper. Why paper is allowed to do it was the way it was set up in the 70s. Nixon takes us off of it, and he realizes all these countries are going to want their gold. And so he says, it's only worth $35 because we would have probably went broke. So he says, I'm setting gold at $35. So then COMEX was invented to keep the price down, not to manipulate the price. It still went to 800 by the late 70s. And so at this point now it's used as a price control mechanism to keep the price down so we don't buy dollars. But since the whole world's buying gold, it's broken because they're going to do when they do their derivative to lower the price, everybody is buying it and they want the physical. And how is J.P. Morgan going to come up with the physical to pay them off? Because now it's Russia and China saying, fuck you, I want the gold at that price. And J.P. Morgan's like, okay. And now they came up with this new law, something T+2. So if I were to buy it today, I want to get the delivery in 2 days. So now what are you going to do? You're going to do derivatives to keep the price down, but you got buyers now. Before, nobody really bought, nobody understood gold, but now it's worldwide. And now if you keep that price low, you got people buying it at that price. I don't know if you can actually get it at 19. So I'd say it's at 1950. I don't think you can actually buy it for 1950. I think that's why you go to the coin store and he's $100 over premium or whatever. Or JM Bullion's really fucking you because he's saying, well, that's only if you buy 100 ounces of gold. But if you use a credit card or a debit card, it's $200 over that. So it's really ridiculous. I don't know if you can find the coin store. He's probably good, like my guy, and or eBay. Although eBay's the best place to sell it for sure. But that's what'll break it is people wanting the gold. And if COMEX they lower the price, there's too much demand. So eventually they can't because there's no more gold to sell low. If they don't have supply, they can't keep playing the game. And I think it's almost the demand for gold is so strong that they just can't keep playing the game. So the game worked when nobody actually wanted the gold. But once now the demand for gold's up, the game's over. So I don't see it lasting much longer. They're probably just trying to get out of it. That's why you see it drop. So if I've shorted it, I'm betting the price will go down. Then they got to manipulate the price down so I can sell my derivatives to get the fuck out before I lose a fortune. And I think that's what's happening. So when you see the price go down again, don't worry about it. Nobody's selling. China's got 60,000 tons. Russia's got about 20. That's all I would think about. And who knows how much Putin has in his basement. Come on. Putin Putin and all the oligarchs, I'm sure, have gold stacked to the ceiling in some vaults in Moscow or Russia or Siberia, somewhere in there where, so, and then Egon and Switzerland, everybody's buying gold, just not in the U.S. I mean, and people in the U.S. are buying. My guy doesn't have any, but it just doesn't it's not news. Nobody knows. And since the U.S., like you said, the U.S. central bank's the last one, they're fucked. So everybody else buys gold, but the U.S. central bank knows better. Oh, really? They know better than all the other central banks. Okay. So eventually the prices, this COMEX will just collapse, or they'll have to just reprice it, right? So if it's 10,000 an ounce, COMEX will then be 10,000 an ounce, I guess. They won't be able to play the game. Everybody knows it's price fixed. Everybody knows it's a game, but nobody, since JP Morgan's in charge of the judges and the government, they don't prosecute anybody. It's just like Madoff. When JP Morgan held the account of $2 billion for Madoff, they should have made inquiries. They didn't. And they let it go because they got paid off by Madoff. I'm sure he paid them off like he paid off the SEC. Nobody from JP Morgan went to jail for letting Madoff go with $2 billion without asking questions. Fuck, why do we go now to the bank? We take out 10 grand and we get third degree burn. What's this money for? It's my money. I don't have to fucking tell you. I want my money out. You have to answer why you want your 10 grand out. So I usually say it's to go play poker, or I'm going to Vegas, or I'm going to Switzerland. I mean, I don't tell them I'm buying gold with it. I tell them I'm going to, I'm playing poker. But that's the thing. So eventually that ends. It's just there's too much demand. That'll break it. And everybody wants the gold price to go up, except for the U.S. They're still going to fight it, but they're fighting a losing battle because all the other countries want gold up, and demand for gold in the U.S. is not going to, in other words, it's like saying, well, when's the Roman Empire going to collapse? And then somebody said, well, it won't collapse. We're the Roman Empire. Eventually it collapses. Eventually Britain had the big, they were the reserve currency. They had the gold. And then eventually they sold the gold for the war, and then they weren't the reserve currency anymore. So everybody who's the king goes to Alabama, not anymore. Notre Dame used to be the best team, not anymore. So it all depends on what happens, but they can't keep it forever. And it's nearing the writing's on the wall. They're breaking the banks, they're breaking the money, they're inflating the money. It's all over. I mean, when I assume, and soon, let's look at it again in September. I said let's look at it after March or April, and it didn't bust then. I assume more banks are going to collapse. Maybe that does it. Although you'd think these three banks were I never heard of before. If Wells Fargo collapses, I think it's like Credit Suisse collapsing. But I don't know. There has to be something where people are afraid of their money. Right now, I would think most people have their money still in the bank because they say, well, I got it in Chase or JP Morgan or Wells Fargo. They're not going to collapse. Once one of those do, then people will finally realize to get their money out of the bank. And that's when gold, their only alternative is, and they still think stocks, well, wait till the Chinese pull their money out of the stock market, and the Russians and the Germans and all the rich Europeans. Once they do that and the stock market collapses, you ain't pulling your money out of the bank into the stock market or the bond market, and Bitcoin is not real. So your only choice is gold and silver. And at that point, that's the point where gold goes way up, and silver too. That's what we're waiting for. People to wake up and realize that. And the foreigners that they keep saying, that Andrew keeps saying, are the ones pulling their money out. So keep in mind, it's the whole world has money in the U.S. stock market, U.S. banks. They buy our land. They buy our houses. They run Vegas. The whole thing is run by foreigners, but because they think the dollar is safe haven. As they realize it's not, then they're going to get their money out of it. So that they might even buy gold, or they'll just use their own currency. So the Chinese will use the yuan, and the Germans will use the euro or whatever. But that's all collapsing. That was the thing I read you was the yen, the Japanese yen, and the euro is all collapsing because it's just like the UK and the US, where they don't understand inflation and they think it's prices and we want a recession that'll lower inflation, which it won't. Inflation ain't lowering without gold. So any way we want to look at it, we hold gold and silver. We're the kings because it's only can go up. It can never go to zero. There's no third-party risk. Means the government prints this, and then we own it, and then the government's the one. Gold, we buy the gold. They make the gold. We buy it, and then we have it, and nobody else can fuck with us. There's no third party. It's us and our gold, and that's it. So that's why you don't have to worry about it. It'll never go to zero. Just like a Mantle card will never go to zero. Or a Brady card. You just think in terms like that. Are those cards ever going to zero? Fuck no. So think of gold like a Mantle card. There's no way it's going to zero, and it can only go up. And as the value of the dollar drops, it takes more dollars to buy it. It should go up if it was a free market. That's why I'm saying 50,000 because because once it gets going, it's like as the snowball goes down the hill and you can't control it. The same thing with gold going up the hill. Once it gets the momentum and it starts going, it's gone. And so we're just waiting for that. And then I'd say don't sell it until you at least see a 25,000 in front of it. But as more people get into it, there's not a big supply of gold, really. So as people, and the central banks own the bars. So most of the gold's in bars already owned by the central bank. So there's a little bit for us to buy a few ounces or something. And that's it. So keep that in mind. Once the train once the boat, my gold boat is leaving the dock, the price just goes and goes because if 10 people want 9 ounces, the price goes up because they'll just bid it up. Only you're going to have a lot of people wanting gold and clearly not enough gold ounces. So that's what's going to really trigger it. And it's happening soon. But again, you got communists and they got idiots that go, well, it'll take 10 years. Those are the guys that'll buy it. What's he going to do? Buy it at 25,000 an ounce? He's got money sitting around to buy it if the money's even worth anything. So eventually it crosses where it's worth $25,000 to not worth any dollars, but if you want to buy a house, you can buy a house with it. So it's going to switch values from dollar back, but when the dollar goes out, it's going to be gold will buy you this. You want that nice house. You want to go to Europe, give me an ounce of silver and you can fly to Europe. There will be new money, and that's what you'll sell. So you'll sell your ounce of silver for $2,000 or whatever the new currency will be. Then you get the currency. And that's what you're going to the grocery store and the restaurant and the ball games and travel. That's what you're going to use. And you'll just pay your debit and credit cards with that. And that's how it works. So I think that's it. Off to the pool before I can't use it.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Yeah, probably more like 11-ish, 11:30 after I wake up. You gotta love the people's eyebrow. Did he do that at Miami in the football games? Like against Florida State, did he do the people's eyebrow? It's funny, if you watch the people's elbow, he misses the guy by 3 feet. He does this, but he's nowhere near the guy. All right, I'm gonna wrap that up. But anyway, so I'm just gonna soak in the pool, I think. It's 8:30, closes at 9. I got an hour, so I don't know what to do if I want to rest. My back's feeling a little better. Gets sore, then it doesn't. I'm trying things like it seems to hurt when I sleep. So I'm trying to like figure out, do I want to sleep on the couch where it doesn't hurt as much? When I get out of if I'm watching TV on the couch and I get up, that seems to hurt it. So I got to get up a different way. So I think I keep hurting my back. That's why it's not healing. So we'll see. I might see a chiropractor tomorrow or Monday or something. Yes, it is your sciatic, and yes, this is that. But I've done stretches and all these exercises that don't seem to work. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel a little bit better. Anyway, have a good night. You're welcome, Bobby. It's nice to see you here. Well, that's what he never got into the game to do it against Florida State. Did he do it? So anyway, it's funny is I hate his movies. I don't, there's no movie I go because The Rock's in it that I would watch. And I don't even understand how, like Jumanji, I saw it with Robin Williams. It was okay with my kids, but I don't have any desire to see him in Jumanji. And I don't know. I mean, you want to see the action guy, but he's no action hero. Anyway. All right. Have a nice night. I will see you tomorrow. Figure 11:30. I think I'll just sleep in and I don't know. I'm getting up at like 7:30 now for work, so hard to stay up too late. But anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. All right, take care. Have a great day. www.teaserking.com. Get my picks. Again, baseball. Well, it's probably too late, but I'll go through my baseball one more time. Oakland over 8.5, Philly under 9, Pitt over 9, Boston over 9, the Mets under 8.5, or Verlander going. Texas under 8, Colorado, they're the dog. I can't believe. Houston under 7.5. I like San Diego. Arizona -9, the Yanks -8, and the 49ers. No big bets, no locks, no nothing. Just kind of eyeing the ERAs. A lot of good ERAs today. About 8 or 9 pitchers under 3. I was shocked. And I assume they've got records, so I don't think it's like they pitched one game. All right. I will talk to you. And then Sunday, we're not I don't know. I'm not touching baskets. If it goes 2-0 Denver, then we'll take Miami to win. If Miami wins, then we'll probably play Denver back. All right, everybody. Have a good night. All right. Take care.